Hi, welcome to Cloud Access Security Broker CASB Fundamentals. I'm Huili Wang. In this video, we're going to continue our talk about forward proxy mode. We will mainly focus in this video the limitations in forward proxy. Like all other deployment modes, forward proxy mode has its own limitations. And the first, apparently, as we mentioned in the last slide, that unmanaged devices are not covered. For managed device, even going through unsanctioned cloud, the traffic is going through CASB and it can be screened. But if the device is beyond your company's management, beyond your reach, like personal device, there's nothing pre-installed there, it's not pre-configured to rerouting the traffic, then you can just access either sanctioned or unsanctioned services directly without any interaction or intervention by CASB. So basically, the flow here is out of the scope of control, and that's one downside of forward proxy, that unmanaged devices are not covered. And again, for cloud-to-cloud transaction, there's no way to intercept. That's only implemented in API mode, because either forward proxy or reverse proxy, the control is put in the communication between device and service. So no cloud-to-cloud control there. And that's the limitation there. And the downside or potential weakness is, number one, the agent conflict. Maybe not exactly conflict, but installing another agent is not sometimes a very welcomed practices, because you don't want your device to have too many agents running at the same time. There might be conflict there, unless there's some agents that's open for scalability of new features. That's another option. Otherwise, for a closed local agent, installing another one might not work in some cases. And lastly is, we mentioned the SSL termination. That basically means the encrypted traffic when reaching CASB is getting decrypted, but you have to store the key, and that's because that opens the encryption, and that would expose some threat for any compromise of the exact traffic, the payload, and that added another layer of security concern. Now we have talked about CASB deployment modes. So let's put them together and take a quick quiz question to review what we have learned. The question is, which of the deployment mode does not cover unmanaged device? The choices are log collection, forward proxy, reverse proxy, and cloud API. So pause the video and give it a thought yourself. Welcome back. So yes, the right answer is forward proxy, as we just learned in this video. Because to visit a cloud service, the request usually is originated from a device. If there's no CASB control in place, the request will go straight to the service. But if you have the device pre-configured, either through a configuration file or agent, then the traffic would first go through CASB control and then sent to the cloud service. And for an unmanaged device, where there's no way to put that control, the traffic could just go straight to the cloud service. And why reverse proxy is not the right answer? Because in reverse proxy, the redirection happens as the authentication side. So for an unmanaged device, and this is unmanaged device. For an unmanaged device, once you reach to the authentication point, the traffic will be going through to CASB and then back to the service. And in Cloud API, though there's no traffic redirection, but Cloud API have CASB capabilities very closely integrated in the cloud. So the requests from unmanaged devices could still be there, but would be going through the corresponding activities once the API event is triggered. And though it is true that Cloud API does not cover the cases where device profiling, device-sensitive controls are required, but still that can cover the majority, like data protection, like a threat protection, etc. While in forward proxy, since the only way to go through CASB control is from the agent or the pre-configuration there, without that set in place, the service or the flow just go straightforward bypassing CASB. And we want to talk a little more about log collection, because in some seminars or discussions, log collection is treated as one of a deployment mode. And I think I would argue that log collection is not actually deployment, is one of the functions, depending on whichever security enforcement you collect the log. But that's not the way you deploy that. Even for visibility, you will still have to find an entry point, either from device side or at the cloud, or any other way to redirect the traffic. But log collection is more a static concept, not related to where you want to put CASB as the enforcement point. It is not a matter of the location of the enforcement point. With that, we completed the study of CASB deployment modes, and we have quickly rushed through the API deployment, reverse deployment, reverse proxy deployment, and forward proxy deployment. Please take note that these three modes are not mutually exclusive. As a matter of fact, they have to be used together to achieve the full coverage, because none of the mode alone would cover all the capabilities required by CASB. They have to be deployed together to make up for each other. So that's the topic on deployment. And in the next module, we're going to talk a little bit from management or business perspective on how we should implement CASB. Until then, goodbye.